Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining us for this virtual orientation session for new regional and international students. My name is Jamani Dunn, and I'm the Assistant Registrar within the Admissions and International Office, and I'll be serving as your host for this session. So I'd like to start by congratulating you all on being offered a place to study at the University of the West Indies, Mona. The University of the West Indies is the region's premier institution and among the best universities in the world. So whether you're here on a full degree program or here just for a short-term exchange, you have now become a part of a rich legacy, which includes Rhodes Scholars, Olympic medalists, Emmy Award winners, Booker Prize winners, and Nobel laureates. You've also joining the ranks of 18 current and former heads of state. So by joining the UWI, you're joining a distinguished family that is rooted in excellence and a will to make a difference in the world. Now, I also want to salute you for choosing to study abroad. This is truly a bold step, and it demonstrates your willingness to move outside of your comfort zone and embark on a new and exciting journey. Now, it will be for sure one of the most meaningful and rewarding experiences in your life. However, along this journey, you will, of course, be confronted with your fair share of challenges and obstacles, and that's all part of the learning process. So how well you handle your stay here and your study abroad experience and the challenges that might arise will depend a great deal on how well you've prepared for your journey. And so this orientation session and the information that we'll be sharing with you will really help to prepare you for all that lies ahead. So we looking forward into this presentation. We just want to give you a brief overview of what we'll be covering today. So we'll start with a message from our principal. We'll then give you a brief introduction to the Admissions and International Office and our awesome team here. Of course, we want to hear from you and get to know you a little better. So we'll have like a little interactive session. We'll then have a series of presentations that are focused on some key areas. So getting the most out of your UWI experience, the registration process, making payments, and managing your financial obligations to the University of the West Indies, immigration and applying for your extension of stay, managing your money while studying abroad, very important. And then we'll hear a message about security on campus. We'll then engage with you a little bit again before we hear from our regional former student, a recent graduate, who will share a little bit about her experiences here at Mona. But before we start, just a few housekeeping points for this virtual session. We asked, of course, that you keep your mics muted during the session. We encourage you, of course, to share your questions via the chat, and we'll respond to them during the relevant Q&A segments towards the end of select presentations. Now, during those Q&A segments, you also have the option of raising your hand and using the raise hand button, and then we'll call on you. You can then unmute yourself and pose your question verbally if you wish. So unfortunately, we may not get to all of your questions. So if we're unable to get to your question, just share it in the chat and we'll record it and do our best to share a response with you as soon as possible following the session. We also have a very short survey at the end of the session once you've exited this meeting, just to capture your feedback. So we encourage you, of course, to fill that out. So to kickstart our orientation session, we will share a message from the principal of the UWI Mona, Professor Dale Weber.
Greetings. Welcome to the University of the West Indies, Mona campus. I am Dale Weber, Pro-Vice Chancellor and Principal of the Mona campus. You are about to embark on a journey which will take you to many places and many spaces. The Mona campus has had a long history, 73 years of growth, of development, of nurturing. Access, alignment, and agility are our key words as we invite all who wish to participate in a higher education in a special place. Built on an old plantation, we have grown to become totally self sufficient. We have our own power, our own water, and our own intellectual capacity to teach and grow. The beauty of a university is that today's research is in tomorrow's lecture. You will be a part of this research and a part of these lectures. A large part of what you will encounter is the education outside of the classroom. And as we move through this pandemic and we reopen our halls of residence, our sporting fields, and our 86 clubs and organizations, we want you to feel free to be a part of Jamaica, the region, and the world. Let us learn from each other. Because sometimes what you learn outside of the classroom is as equally important as what you learn in the classroom. Share your knowledge, share your warmth. We will be doing the same. Welcome to Jamaica. Welcome to the University of the West Indies. And welcome to the Mona campus, your place to shine. Thank you.
All right, excellent. So we thank Principal Weber for his welcome remarks. So many of you will be familiar with the Admissions and International Office, particularly as it pertains to the admission side of things. So you would have submitted your application, of course, you'd have gotten, an acceptance and so on and so forth. So what we wanted to do in this segment is just to briefly give you an overview of the International Office and how we serve you. All right, so we'll just bring up some slides. All right, so the slide should be coming up shortly. Or if not, we can proceed without. There we go. All right, excellent. You can just go to that first slide for me, Andy. All right, perfect. So the International Office was established in 2008 and is as a standalone office with a goal of driving internationalization across the campus. Now, the International Office was merged with the Admissions Office in 2020. And we continue to drive internationalization. And one of our key roles, of course, is supporting you as regional and international students. Now, in addition to this, we facilitate incoming and outgoing student and staff mobilities. We support the establishment and management of international partnerships and partnership agreements. We also coordinate the medical elective and clerkship program for medical students who visit and want to get clinical residencies here in Jamaica. And we also coordinate special academic visits for both groups and individuals. Right, so of course, our key mandate is supporting you, regional and international students. And we do this in 3 key ways. Right, so we provide guidance and advocacy. So of course, the University of the West Indies and any university really is a big place. And there are many systems and subsystems that you'll need to be learning. So we'll provide you with assistance in navigating the UA system. We'll also understand that you have unique challenges and needs. So we'll work on your behalf to solve any challenges that pop up for you as international students, or we'll do our best to point you in the right direction and follow up on your behalf. Now, being a foreign student in a new country, naturally there are going to be immigration implications. And we provide you with guidance on the extension of stay process, a very important process, which you will hear more about later. Right, so we also help you to acclimatize and get integrated into life here at Mona. So this orientation session, of course, is one example of how we can get to connect with you and get you settled in. And we also look for other opportunities when they arise to, organize trips and other little activities that help you to connect with each other as well. So we're located at the Undercraft, right near the administrative annex. And if you go through the double glass doors, you will see our office there to your left. So you just go through the glass doors and the international office is through to your left. And here are our contact details. So you can email us at isomona@uemona.edu.jm. Of course, you can call us at 876-702-3737, or of course, you're always welcome to come by the office. So, okay, thank you. So with that said, let me introduce a few members of the excellent team here at the Admissions and International Office. And so I'll just invite each to just say a quick hello and just to tell you one or two things about themselves, just to help you to get to know them a little better. So we'll start with Elizabeth Bailey.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Bailey. I'm the Customer Service Officer here at the Admissions and International Office. Something interesting about me is I am a mommy of a 2-year-old. So I want you guys to understand Terrible 2 is real.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Now we'll hear from Vikisha Allen.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to have you with us. My name is Vikisha Allen, and I'm the fun personality here at the Admissions and International Office. And I also share the responsibility of the Administrative Secretary and your Medical Electives Coordinator. And something interesting about me is that I really love to dance, and I dance every day. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Vikisha. So Tony Ann, you want to just introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I am Tony Ann, the Exchange Coordinator here in the International Office. And something fun I love doing is baking sweet treats.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. An excellent baker. And so we're also joined by Andy Spence, who is working hard behind the scenes and providing technical support for this session. So thank you, Andy, and I'll just say a quick welcome on your behalf. I also want to share greetings from our Senior Assistant Registrar, the head of our department, Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen, who is currently on leave, but she sends her hearty greetings. So we're the team who will help to support you while you're here studying at the UWI Mona. But of course, we don't do that alone. And we stand with several other offices, including the Office of Student Services and Development, Registry Information Systems, the Student Administrative Services section within the bursary, the University Health Center, the Examination section, the Guild of Students, and the wider student body, faculty offices, and a host of other sections, offices, and individuals. So we assemble almost like the Avengers and work together to support you in every which way that we can. And so for this orientation, we're truly happy to welcome several of the above stakeholders who will share presentations in their area and answer a few of your questions. So we welcome Rasheen Roper Robinson. Now, I hope she was able to join, and she's from the Office of Student Services and Development. We also have Aisha Matthews, John Henry, and other members of the Registry Information Systems team. I think Nicholas Williams is also on from the Registry Information Systems team. So thank you all for joining. We also have Kimberly Henry, who I think has joined from the Student Administrative Services section. And we have Briannie Smith, who is a former international student who will share a bit of our experiences here at the University of the West Indies. Now, for the next segment, we want to, of course, learn a little bit more about you, and also for you to learn a little bit more about each other. So to take us through this segment, I invite Elizabeth Bailey to just engage with you. Elizabeth?
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Good morning again, everyone. Wagwan. And welcome to our first segment of Getting to Know You. For this segment themed Up Close and Personal, I will be asking a few persons to introduce themselves, followed by a brief trivia question. All right, here we go. So let me just choose someone. Martina. I see you, Martina.
Hello.
Hi, Martina. can you introduce yourself and tell us about your country without telling us its name?
Oh, Jesus. That's hard. Okay. Yeah, my name is Martina. And I'm from a country where people sometimes think they walk polar bears on the streets. That's a myth. What else is there to say? Yeah, we have some music export that people might know about. And on New Year's, you probably listen to one of the songs.
Oh.
Any
All right.
idea?
Is anybody able to tell us where she's located or where she's from? Anybody? Can anyone guess where Martina is from? Can I guess where you're from, Martina?
You already know though. But yes, you can guess.
That would be cheating, right?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, go ahead. You can take a crack at it, Elizabeth.
Okay, so you said that you're from a country where polar bears don't really skate on the ice. So I'm assuming that's where you're from, somewhere cold.
Right.
Yeah,
somewhere in
exactly. It's
Northern Europe.
not always cold, but
I hear Vikisha saying Canada. I don't think you're from Canada.
mm,
Are you from Sweden?
yes.
Ah!
Yes, yes. That was an honest guess. All right. So thank you, Martina. I'm going to ask another person. Let me see who else is here. Jacob. Is Jacob able to unmute his mic and show us his face?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Jacob. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's everyone doing?
We're great. We're good. We're good.
Awesome.
So over to you. Can you introduce yourself and tell us about your country without telling us its name?
Okay, I'll try. So my name is Jacob Bellavia, and I'm from a country that is also cold, and it's known for, I guess you could say it's known for its nature. It's known for really beautiful nature, and yeah, people have also stereotypes about it that there's polar bears everywhere, that everyone is living in igloos and stuff like that. Yeah, so to see if someone can guess that,
Do you
right?
want to guess where he's from?
We could be neighbors, maybe. No,
Anybody wants to guess where Jacob is from? You have one, anybody at all? You can cue in and let us know what you think, where he's from. Where do you think,
Yeah, you
Martina?
can raise your hand if you can use the raise hand feature, or you can just jump in.
Yeah, you can jump in at any time. Anyone?
okay, it's not Norway.
So
No.
Okay.
Is she close?
Is she close? Yeah.
no, not really.
Switzerland, Switzerland.
No.
Oh no.
Is it Canada?
Yes, Canada.
Yes,
Ah.
Aisha for the
Yeah.
save. Well done,
Yeah.
Aisha.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm just gonna ask one last person and then we're gonna go over back to Mr. Dunn. So is Daniel able to do just that for us? Daniel, can you unmute your mic and your camera, please?
Yeah, can you hear me and see me?
We can't see you, but we can definitely hear you.
Okay, it may take some while for my camera to activate. Yeah, hello, I'm Daniel. I'm 24 and my country just had a very disappointing World Cup because usually we really like football.
Ah.
Can anybody guess what country that is?
That's a big
France.
hint for those football fans.
France.
I'm gonna guess.
No,
I'm-
France is incorrect.
I'm gonna guess Germany.
Ah,
Germany.
Germany is correct. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
correct. Awesome.
All right, all right. So we are getting to know each other then. Thank you very much for your participation, guys. And over to you, Mr. Don.
All right. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That was very interesting. And I think we all learned a little bit more about some of our students here. Right. So for our first presentation, we'll be sharing information about how you can make the most of your time here at the UWI, how you can make the most of the experience. Now, I think Rasheen Roper Robinson was slated to present. I'm not sure if she is with us just now. Rasheen, are you with us? Unfortunately not. So what I can do, we have a pre-recorded video from the director of the Office of Student Services and Development, Mr. Jason McKenzie. And so we just try to share that with you in her absence. Okay, so just bear with us with one moment so we can bring that up for you.
Welcome to the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. My name is Jason McKenzie, and it's my distinct pleasure on behalf of the Office of Student Services and Development to welcome all our regional and international students. Today, I'll share with you briefly about the office and what we offer to you under the caption, My University, My Experience. The University of the West Indies is really a global institution rooted in the Caribbean. We are one of 2 regional institutions in the world, and we are delighted in that status. We are world renowned as an institution. In fact, we're in the top 4% of universities around the world. We are the Caribbean's #1 institution. And in fact, we are in the top 2% of universities in Latin America and the Caribbean. This now is your university. As an institution, our mission really is to advance learning, to create knowledge, and to foster innovation for the positive transformation of the Caribbean and the wider world. I'm sharing this with you because this is now your university, and you need to be clear in your minds as to why we do what we do, and also to be aware that you're becoming a part of a world-class university. I share with you briefly our core values, and these are integrity, excellence, gender justice, diversity, and student-centeredness. Student-centeredness is at the heart of what we do. As an institution, we are committed to you to ensure that all our policies, governance, and our daily operations are geared towards the delivery of an exceptional teaching and learning experience for all our students. I want you to focus on this with me. Our thrust is to create for you an exceptional teaching and learning experience. Remember, we're talking about my university, my experience. What is the experience that you will have here at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies? The office that I have the pleasure of leading, we support the mission of the university by creating a learning environment that facilitates and encourages the development and the delivery of a suite of high quality programs. And these programs are designed to foster the holistic development of the individual student. In a nutshell, our work is concerned with student learning and development. What are we talking about here? I'm saying to you, a part of the experience that you will have is that which will improve the quality of your behavior, your social interaction, your values, your attitude, speech, dress, and importantly, an understanding of socially accepted norms and values. We are committed to foster student learning and development in all our students as they sojourn the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. What are we talking about here when we talk about student development? We want to attend to the entire being. And so the spiritual side of the student, the social side of the student, financial, occupational, physical, intellectual, emotional, environmental. That's what we intend to do to foster development, to look at how you grow, how you progress, how you increase your developmental capability just by being a part of this or university. In a real way, what we're talking about is student involvement, student engagement that will cause for you to grow, to progress, and to increase your developmental capabilities. And so Alexander Astin tells us this, that students learn by becoming involved. Students learn by becoming involved. What are we talking about here? Astin defines this as the physical and psychological time and energy invested in the educational process. And so what we're talking about is how much time and energy do students put into their academic work? How much time and energy do students invest in other educationally purposeful activities? That's on the one hand. On the other hand, how much resources do we invest in our offerings to make them attractive and engaging for students? How do we organize intentional programs and support services to have our students participate in them with meaningful outcomes? That is what we're talking about in terms of student engagement. And so it's about my university, my experience. So here in the Office of Student Services and Development, we provide for you intentional programs and a campus environment that will lend itself to your growth and development. What are the programs that we offer? First Year Experience Program. This is a program that you should all become engaged in. It will help you to become your best selves as you navigate the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. We're provided for you facilitators in a small group with other first-year students that you will learn with, you will grow with, you will be able to maximize your potential by just learning about university resources and being provided with guidance as you go through your first year. We understand that the first year in the life of a university student can be challenging, but we are providing you with an avenue, a platform on which to build and to achieve student success. Programs in leadership, programs in mentorship, where we assign you to mentors here on campus and in the wider Jamaican corporate society to help you to understand the world of work and to build on some skills that you already have. Community outreach, health and wellness, especially at a time like this, we're in the middle of a pandemic where, the other challenge that many persons face is that of mental health. And we want to attend to the whole person. And so our health and wellness program is designed to help you to maximize on opportunities for good health and well-being. Debating and public speaking, to help you to become the distinctive UWI graduate. And so we provide for you opportunities in debating and public speaking through our Debating and Public Speaking Society. Career development. So we have an office for placement and career services. And here you'll get career guidance. You'll learn to, improve on your resume, cover letter writing, appropriate behavior, and just a range of career seminars, world of work seminars that will help you on your way. In choosing a career, there's a self-assessment tool that will help you with this journey. Importantly, we provide opportunities for job placement, for internship, for job shadowing, and a range of other services through our Office of Placement and Career Services. Residence life. Many of you will be living in one of our 12 halls of residence. A hall of residence is not just a place to eat and to sleep, but it's a place where a significant part of your learning will take place. You'll make new friends. You will grow in exponential ways. You will unearth talents that you didn't even know you had, right? Just by being a part of a hall of residence. And so residence life is something that offers for you wonderful opportunities to truly experience university life. And this is why we're talking about my university, my experience. The experience is what you make of it by engaging in the range of programs and services that we offer to you here through the Office of Student Services and Development. There are over 100 clubs and societies on the campus. You can become a part of a service club if you so desire. There are many religious associations as well. So if you're Catholic, there's a student Catholic movement. If you're Seventh-day Adventist, there's Advent Fellowship. You know, there's a Baptist movement. You name it, there's Circle K, you know, if you want to get involved in service groups and so on. A range of clubs and societies. And importantly, if you don't find one here of your liking, you can start your own club or society by going through a particular process that we have here in the Office of Student Services and Development. So these are just some of the programs that we intentionally planned for you. Additionally, we have a range of support services that are critical to your sojourn here on the campus. What are some of these support services? Academic support services. Here, we practice the appreciative advising model, where we will help you to find or discover your learning styles, help you to understand your strengths and weaknesses, but we also provide services if you are challenged in a particular subject area. It may be a mathematics course or a quantitative course, or language and communication. We have tutors as well who will help you with these courses so you can achieve the success that you desire. And so we ask that you make use of our academic support unit and the range of services that are offered therein. For students who opt not to live on campus, we have our lodgings office. Will help you to find accommodation off campus in a safe, comfortable environment. So that's another support service that we offer as well. Or shuttle bus service. So we will take you around the campus on the hour or on the half hour as you move from your hall of residence to class. Or if it is that you need to go to a nearby community or area for shopping, or shuttle bus service will take you there. And there are schedules that are available to you. You can check online or check with my office in person, and the schedules are there for you to benefit from the shuttle bus service. Importantly, we are an inclusive institution. And so we offer services to our students with special needs. There's an office for students with special needs. And so whatever it is that whatever area it is that you're challenged in, then we will, be it a physical challenge or a disability, then we'll be able to offer you, specialized services through this office. So we ask that you make use of the services that we have available for you. So there are orientation activities, mental health awareness and support, services for student athletes. So we have, a range of student athletes on the campus, and we want to support them as well. And we continue to support the work that they do through our range of services in the Office of Student Services and Development. So students, regional and international students, we welcome you to the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies. My reminder to you is that the Office of Student Services and Development is available to serve you through our intentional programs, but also through our range of services. Learning for us happens everywhere, inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. The greater part of the learning really happens outside of the classroom. And in our quest to help you to become that distinctive UW graduate, we are here for you. NASPA and ACPA shares this very interesting quotation, and I share it with you, and I quote, "Learning is a complex, holistic, multicentric activity that occurs throughout and across the college experience. Our commitment to you is to create for you an exceptional teaching and learning experience. All we ask of you is to avail yourselves, invest a little time and energy in what we have prepared for you, and we guarantee you that your experience here at the Mona campus of the University of the West Indies will be an excellent one. Thank you."
All right. So we definitely thank Mr. Mackenzie for his contribution, and to the Office of Student Services and Development for all of their support. Unfortunately, Rasheen wasn't able to join us, but if she's able to join later, or another representative from the OSSD, perhaps at that point, we will, take some of their questions. So we'll move forward, and naturally at this stage, registration will be a major area of interest for you. And so we know that you likely have quite a few questions. So for the next presentation, we invite Aisha Matthews from Registry Information Systems to share on the registration process. So Aisha, over to you.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. Welcome everyone to the UWI Mona campus. So I am joined here today with members of my team, Mr. Nicholas Williams and Ms. Janine Henry. So if you have any questions surrounding with regards to the registration process, which includes selecting your courses that you will be pursuing this semester and in the semesters to come, you can ask those questions in the chat. And then after the presentation, additional questions, you could also ask those, and we'll try our best to respond to them for you. So I have a little presentation here that I'll be sharing with you. If during the presentation there's anything jumping out at you, like I said before, just put those in the chat and we will respond to them. So now that you're here and you are officially a student, which means you have applied to a program, you've been admitted, ISO has taken good care of you, it's time for you to select your courses so that you can enter your classrooms being, confident that you can take on whatever the semester throws at you. However, to get into that classroom, we need to register for our courses as students here. And we access this portal through the student administrative system, which is available to all students online. So we'll walk through that process. Now, right now, this academic year, the UWI campus actually updated the registration portal for students. So although you wouldn't have been familiar necessarily with the portal before, it is actually a new system for all students on campus right now. So it's not just students, right? There are some requirements for registration that we'll briefly run through. The first thing is that Banner 9 registration is a new registration interface, and it does have a new look and feel, and it is the only interface that students use to select their courses for the current academic year. So as we're moving through the registration process, there are some things, some points that we would like students to note. There are deadlines that exist that all students must adhere to. The first being normal registration, which has been open from July 25th and will close on January 27th. And I will reiterate that at the end of the presentation again, just so everyone is aware that there is a deadline for you to select your courses before penalties come into play. All right, so we do advise students to register as early as possible to avoid those late registration fines. We do understand that there may be some extenuating circumstances which may result in you not being able to select your courses. However, I know that the team will continue to work with you to iron out those issues should they occur. And there are services to provide students with waivers in any situation that results in you not being able to select a course due to any system or process error on the university side. Okay, so when you are registering, there are some things that you also need to be very mindful of. You must select all the components of a course. You must drop all components of a course if you're no longer interested in taking that course. You must select the correct campus or stream that's applicable to you. So our system is open to all of the Mona campus sites, meaning there's also the WJC site, which is in Montego Bay, the Western Campus site. There are TLI sites, or tertiary level institution sites, meaning those other facilities which UE facilitates learning through. So you must be mindful of the fact that you are a MONA student, meaning you are located on the Kingston campus, or if you're a WJC student, you have to select those streams that are relevant to your specific campus, or you will get some errors. The system will point those out to you and it can affect your registration. Throughout the process as well, you may have to request some overrides for certain courses. So an override only occurs when a course generates a registration error. And registration errors can occur for a myriad of reasons. Some being that the course is restricted by the lecturer, meaning the lecturer must approve every student to be enrolled in that particular course. And in those cases, the students will be required to request overrides. There may be other issues such as prerequisite errors. And I know that this sometimes can affect international students because courses are designed having some academic requirements that may not easily translate to the MONA courses that act as prerequisites here. So in those cases, I know ISO and the faculties will work together to ensure that your international students and regional students do get those overrides and get those permissions on the record, so that it reduces the chances of you having to make those changes on your record. But it does exist, so I want you to be, have it in the back of your mind that you may need to request an override. And in the demonstration, I will show you exactly where you would need to go to do these things. Now, university regulation requires all students to be registered in order to sit an exam, whether that exam is conducted face-to-face or online. So registration is essentially the most critical part of your time here at the university, because it allows you to sit your exams and complete the assessment for your courses. Okay, so you cannot skip the registration step. It's really important. Right, so what do you need to do to get to the course selection phase? Well, you get your registration information, and this session acts as one of those instances where you're getting some information about what you need to do. There are also online guidelines on the university's website. So I advise you to go on and peruse and see what you can find out there. There are faculty handbooks. There's also academic counseling. So you can go to your faculty and department offices as well as ISO to get more information about what courses you need to select before you even get on the system, because there are thousands of course codes there. You need to know which ones are relevant to you. So once you have your list of courses for the particular semester, and right now we're talking about 2022-2023 semester 2, then you're able to go onto Banner and you're able to go onto SAS and select those courses and request any overrides if necessary. Once you have successfully registered for your courses, or you have successfully requested an override for your courses, it is absolutely necessary for all students to continuously check their records for any approvals or any changes to that schedule. It is the student's responsibility to ensure that your record is up to date. Do not take it for granted that because I registered for a particular stream, that's it. There's nothing else for me to do. There are changes that happen in departments all the time that may result in a course no longer being offered, or result in the students needing to make some change to their registration for whatever reason. And I know that the faculties and ISO do their best to communicate with students when these changes are occurring, but I'm also advising you and encouraging you to get really familiar with checking your record all the time to ensure that everything is as it should be. Then Once you have successfully registered, everything is up to date and good to go. Ensure that you are adhering to payment deadlines. And I know that following my presentation, there will be a section where you talk about payments and monies and stuff like that. So it is also critical for the students to ensure that their accounts are up to date. If there are payment plans that are required, that you have those conversations with the necessary people. Once your tuition fees have been cleared and accounted for, you are given you're given financial clearance, which is electronically added to your record, and this allows you to enter your exam room. So for all students doing final assessment here, when you go to the room, and again, this is online or face-to-face, your ID will be scanned and it will tell the person at the door whether or not you have satisfied the financial requirements to the university, and then they will be able to allow you into the room. So again, I am just sharing with everyone here, ensure that those things are taken care of. I know ISO will continue to take care of that with you, but these are the things that all students need to bear in mind throughout their time here. Okay, so now that we've gone through all of that, how do you get your courses on your record? So Banner9 registration is essentially a portal that you can access through the SAS system online. And essentially, when you enter Banner9, it will take you to a landing page with these 4 options here. You can view your registration status and some student data. You can also view your registration information, and it will give you a list of your classes. You can also go to the register for classes link to select those courses. Pardon, and you can use the browse classes link to just view any schedules that are currently online. So in order to see your profile, once you select the prepare for registration link, you will see all of the information that is currently entered in the system on your particular record. So it will tell you your level, your campus, your college, your program, your major. It will also tell you whether or not you have the academic status which permits registration. Are you eligible to register, yes or no? This page will give you all of that information. It also shows you any decisions on any overrides that you may have received, whether those were approved or declined. And I also want to point out right here that a request for an override is not a guarantee that you will get into the course. The lecturers and the faculties have will approve or deny at their discretion, given the requirements for the course. As I stated before, the browse classes link just simply gives you an output of all of the classes that are currently scheduled and available in a particular term, but you cannot register from the browse classes page. It literally just tells you what's online. Once you need to actually register for courses, then you would need to select the register for classes link. The view registration information page, however, provides information on existing course registration in different formats. So you can actually get an actual visual timetable for your week, or you could just see those courses that are registered, and you will also see the course status on that page. And where necessary, if you need to send a copy of your schedule, you can do that from this page. You can also print your timetable from this page. And finally, and most importantly, is the register for classes link. Now, there are 2 ways to select courses. You can do a normal search for classes, find classes, enter the course criteria. Courses here at UWI Mona campus have 8-digit codes. So that's usually 4 digits for the subject area, 4 digits for the course number. So for example, you may have a course if you're a medical science student, it would be MDSC, which just represents medicine, and then perhaps 4001. And MDSC 4001 would probably be, I know I'm getting this wrong, but it's probably orthopedics or ophthalmology. I don't remember exactly the course title right now. But when you're searching for courses, you enter that course criteria, you select search, it gives you an output of those streams that have been scheduled for the course, and then you add those to your summary and you submit them to be registered. There are guidelines and tutorials online. So you have the option of watching those and also reading through the guidelines to help you as you are going in and performing these actions on your own. So there are some points to note when using Banner 9. On the class results page, you may need to zoom in and out in order to view all of the available information. I must be very transparent and say that Banner 9 is not a very mobile friendly. You can use it, but it takes a little bit more manipulation to see all of the data there. So I do recommend students using a laptop or a desktop when it's available to you. If you need to, you can always visit our offices or visit ISO, and we could assist you with registering for your courses. But on the phone, you may have some difficulties. It can be done, and it's done all the time. It just takes a little bit more maneuvering and navigating to get to the end result. So on your Banner 9 registration page, you will also get a single page view of your schedule of classes, your timetable grid, and the actual course registration record. So there are different panels there that allows you to view different information. And you can use the view registration information to confirm courses that you have successfully registered for. Also want to remind you that you can send a copy of your timetable to any email address using the Banner 9 portal. Currently, the Banner 9 is supported by the following browsers. That's Google Chrome, Mozilla, Microsoft Edge, and Apple for Apple users. Safari for Apple users. So I am going to be going to the system to give you a demonstration of the actual registration process. Okay, so to get to the SAS homepage, you could literally Google UWI SAS. And you will get that in the Google search. And once you select the UWI Mona SAS administration system, it will take you to the landing page for the SAS system. On this page, you immediately see your online registration videos. So there are 3 different videos there that walk you through the entire course selection process. How to add a course to your record, how to drop one, and how to request overrides where necessary. So in order to perform this, you would select Enter Secure Area, and you would enter your student ID number and your student password. Your student ID number would be included in your offer letter, and your password in the first time you're registering is in the format of your date of birth, and it is indicated here in this little message. If you need to reset your password, you can use the online support chat to speak to a member from the MITS help desk, and they would be able to assist you there. So once you have entered your credentials, you move to the student services link. Personal information just literally gives you a profile of your record. So address, name, stuff like that. Student services now is where you have all of the different processes that are relevant to student needs here. So the first link is the registration link. And this is where you would go to get to the Banner 9 registration link, which allows you to select your courses. I also want to point out that on this homepage, there are some quick guides as well with additional information that will help you through the process. So if you need more support while you're inside Banner 9, you can just use the quick links to get that information there. There are some other links here. Late adjustment to registration with penalty, which becomes available after the normal registration period ends. Students can use this link to request late registration. Your account will be credited with the cost associated at the time that you make that request, and then you'll be given access to add a course to your record. There's also the course override request link here, and this is where you would be requesting course overrides where necessary. There is also, if needs be, the option to change your major or enrollment status. You can view your schedule. And then the very, very important link here is your registration status and financial clearance link. This link will give you an overview of your student record. It will show you where you have pending override requests. It will show you if a course has been canceled. It shows you where you're registered. It is, to me, the most important link on this homepage. So please get really, really familiar with the registration status and financial clearance link. Know it, understand it, use it often. So to get to course selection, you select the very first link, which is Banner 9 registration at Drop Courses. And what this does is it opens a second tab in your browser. So please note that you can toggle between the tabs to do different things. So once you're in the Banner 9 portal, like I said before, the prepare for registration link will allow you to view your student profile for a particular term. And the current term is 2022-23 semester 2. It is usually the first option. You select it, you click continue, and it gives you an overview of your curricula here for that particular term. So it also tells you if you will be able to register for a course. So it tells me here that my student status permits registration, my academic status permits registration, and I have no holds which would prevent me from selecting a course. So right here, it tells me I'm good to go. I can select courses. It also tells me what my registration dates are. So currently, normal registration is open, and the date here tells me that it ends on the 27th of January at 11:59 p.m. Right? So now that I want to go in and select a course, I navigate to the Register for Classes link. The term is already there. It's semester 2 of this year. I select continue, and then I check for the relevant courses. Now, I just want to point out that my desktop allows me to see all of the information that I need very clearly on the screen. On your mobile phone or on devices with a smaller screen, it may not look exactly like this. So please, if you're having any issues, just use a device with a larger screen so that you can have more information available to you. Okay. So the Find Classes link allows me to search for my course codes. And as I said before, those are 8-digit codes. So I am just going to select a course code that's relevant to me and the program that I'm currently in. And I can search for all courses with this particular subject area, or if I know the complete course code, I can go ahead and search here. Once it is a valid course, it will return all of the streams that are necessary, that are currently scheduled, and then I would just need to select the appropriate stream. So I'm going to do this again. If I need to select a different course. For example, an MBBS course, and I can select, I want to see all year 4 MBBS courses. I just need to enter 4 with the percentage sign, which means wildcard. It just means all. And this will give me all MDSC courses that begin with a 4. And if I want to expand the screen, I can just using these as the arrow buttons. And then I am able to view the class. So depending on the program that you are in, there are different requirements for how you need to select your courses. Again, I'm advising you to go ahead, get that academic counseling through ISO, through your faculty offices and your department offices, so you know exactly what you need to select when you are in the system registering. So in this case, MDSC 4001 is actually anesthesia. And so I would need to select those those streams for anesthesia that are relevant to me. I am not currently an MBBS student, so I'm not able to select anything here. But I just wanted to point out that once you have generated the search results, you will see an option on the screen to add the course or add the streams, right? In some cases, if you know the CRN, you can enter the CRN, and the CRN is a 5-digit course registration number that allows you to uniquely identify a stream. If it doesn't exist, you will get an error message, but if it does, you will find the stream, and once you select add to summary, it adds it to your summary here. And I just want to expand this so you can see what my summary page looks like. So I'm currently registered for some courses. It's highlighted here in green. And here, because I just selected this beginner Spanish course, it was added to my summary and has a status of pending. A pending status means you are not registered. That means you are not in the class, you are not on the class list, and you wouldn't be able to enter a examination with this course status. So you must ensure that you submit, and the submit button is in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. You must select submit for your status to change from pending to register. Okay. If I attempt to submit this course, I am going to get an error. And once I get these errors now, I'm able to determine what I need to do next. So there is a guideline document on the registration page that allows you to view all of the registration ad errors that a student can possibly generate and the actions to take next. So I advise you to go through these documents so that you understand exactly what needs to happen. Now, if you need to drop a course from your record, again, you would come to the Register for Classes link, you would come to your summary page, and you would, of course, just indicate remove or indicate web drop from a registered stream, like here, you'd indicate web drop. And then once you select submit, it removes the course from your record. And you'll see here that it changed the status to deleted. If I needed to re-add it, I just simply need to select web registered and submit again, and it puts it back on my record. So that is essentially how students are able to use the Banner 9 portal to make changes to their registration record. I want to go back to this landing page just to point out the course error overrides link here. In order to request an override, once you've generated it in Banner 9, you have to navigate to the previous registration menu you have to select the current term that you're working in, select submit, and then go to the course or override link. Here you will see a request page, and you'll be able to select the courses that you attempted to register for. So once you have located that particular course, you can select it from the drop-down list, and then you can write a note to the lecturer or the coordinator if you need to, and then you submit the request. Once you have submitted the request, you will see the course listed there on your record, and you'll be able to view all your pending override requests by using that very important registration status and financial clearance link. So the registration status and the financial clearance link will give you an overview of your academic year. So for students just starting in semester 2, once you have successfully registered, you will see your courses selected for semester 2 on your record, and you will see your status marked here as registered. You'll also see the date that the course was added to your record. If there are any pending courses, you will see that course in red. If there are any canceled streams, meaning you had successfully registered, but then the department dropped the course for whatever reason, you will also see that in red. So this page is, to me, one of the most important screens that you need to be familiar with. It tells you what you have registered for exactly. It tells you the credits that you will earn once you've completed. It tells you course title, registration status, and it also tells you whether or not you have financial clearance for that particular term. Financial clearance means that you will have access to your examinations at the end of the term, whether that is online or face-to-face. So please know this screen in and out, like the middle of your hand, as we would say. And that's, hold on. I just want to bring up the final point. That I just want to bring everyone back to the dates. So normal registration is currently open and will be open until January 27th. So once you have until January 27th to perform all of your course selection, to add and drop and request your overrides as you need to without being penalized for it. Please note that you must have accepted your offer in order to access the UESAS systems and Banner 9, and you cannot register for any courses if you only received a provisional offer. Finally, I just want to point out that the deadline for dropping courses is February 24th. So if you need to make any changes to your record between now and February 24th, you'll be able to do that without needing to submit a request through the ASRM system. Please note also that fines start on the 28th of January, beginning at 1,000 Jamaican dollars, and that increases incrementally as the semester continues. So please pay special attention to this information here. It is applicable to all students. You can reach out to my unit, that's the Registry Information Systems unit. You can email us at course.selection@uwimona.edu.jm if you have any questions or concerns. And you can also call us at 970-4472 if you have any registration related questions or queries. There's also the MITS help desk. As I pointed out earlier, you can speak to them online once the chat service is open. And you could also take a screenshot of this page to get the numbers can speak to them about resetting your passwords. And that's the end. Thank you so much for having me. If you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you so much, Aisha, for your very detailed and very informative presentation. I think you've definitely helped to demystify the registration process. So we'll check to see if there are some questions from students regarding registration. I didn't see any specific questions on registration in the chat, but if you are interested and have a question on registration, you can just indicate by raising your hand using the raise hand tool, and Vikisha will call on you to take your question. Any questions coming up? Any hands? No. If not, we do have a few members of RIS who I'm hoping can remain on just for a little bit longer. So if you do have any questions, so we're seeing Jacob has a question.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead,
had one
Jacob.
question with regards to like the add drop section. So for one of my courses in Caribbean civilization, it had the option to register for a lecture and then also to register for an exam. So I wasn't sure if I was supposed to register for both, or if by registering just for the lecture, it gave me a place in the exam.
Thank you, Jacob. That's a really good question, actually. So you would only need to register for the lecture. Once you register for the lecture, which is the main component of the course, you would automatically be registered for the examination of that course. The exam only stream that you're seeing there available is actually for students who need to resit and retake the final exam, meaning they had done the course previously, failed some component, and need to do a resit. So it's like a supplemental stream for students.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Excellent. Are there any other questions regarding registration at this time? You can just show by raising your hand. If not, you can maybe type a question in the chat, and members of the RIS team who will remain on, I think we have, of course, Aisha, Janine Henry, and Nicholas Williams. They should be able to provide you with an answer. Okay, so if there are no questions that need to be voiced at this time, we will move on. I also want to welcome Rasheen Hooper Robinson. So thank you for joining us from the Office of Student Services and Development. And likewise, if you have any questions regarding OSSD, whether it be clubs and societies, accommodation, or anything else related to the OSSD, feel free to just type the question in the chat, and Rasheen will, assist and share a response. So thank you again, Aisha, for your excellent presentation. We will now move on to the next presentation. So having looked at registration, we want to learn now about making payments. And so I'll hand over to Kimberly Henry from the Student Administrative Services section for her presentation. Kimberly?
Hi, good morning.
Hey, Kimberly, thank you for joining. So I've made you a co-host so you can share your screen when you're ready. Over to you.
Great. Thank you so much for that introduction. Are you seeing the screen?
Yes, I think it is coming up. Yeah, seeing it now. Thanks.
Great. All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Kimberly Henry. I am a representative from the Student Administrative Services section, aka SAS. On behalf of the bursary section, I would like to formally welcome you to the UWI Pelican family. So I know you are very much interested in what exactly to expect in terms of your finances. How do you know what your fees are, and how do you go about paying said fees? And I'll be introducing you to the SAS section as well, so you can actually know what our processes are centered around. So without further ado, I would like to say that we are the customer service hub for the student population regarding any financial matters. So if you have questions about the billing on your account, if it is correct or not, let's say, for example, you are getting financing from external parties, be it a scholarship, your government, etc. We are here to ensure that the funds are applied to your account in a timely manner, and also to be in contact with the respective donors, just to ensure that all is well. We also go ahead and we bill and collect from said external stakeholders. So that's basically what our core functions are centered around. Now, for every new student to the institution, you are subject to the commitment fee. Now, the commitment fee is basically a non-refundable deposit that is made towards your student account and can be used to offset any future charges that are applied. And that is 20,000 Jamaican dollars. Now, remember I said it is a deposit, so it is not a charge. So therefore, if a charge, for example, your tuition or your miscellaneous fees are applied to the account, then the commitment fee can be used towards the charges that are applied. So at any given time, a student can anticipate 3 main charges to be applied to the statement of accounts. It can be the tuition, miscellaneous, and residence fees where applicable. So for example, with the tuition, the charge that is applied to your account is based on your registration activity, your student type, and so forth. Student type in the sense that, are you full-time or are you part-time? Are you doing a program in the Faculty of Medical Sciences as opposed to something in the Faculty of Social Sciences? So there is not one set charge for all programs. The charge will differ, and it is based on your registration activity and your background as a student. Now, the miscellaneous fees that I mentioned earlier, that the commitment fee can be used towards, it enables your ability to use certain services on campus as well. It is a compulsory fee, and it offsets or it overlooks, well, let's not say overlook, it helps to pay for your health services, so you can actually use the services provided by the health center. You can use the library. There's a compulsory guild fee that every student needs to pay. So therefore, it's basically smaller fees that come together that are charged as the miscellaneous fees. Now, the residence fee, this will only be applied to your account if you are residing on a hall. So if you are not residing on a hall, then you can expect that, no residence charges will be applied to your account. Now, for a residence charge, it depends on if you are living on a 138 student living establishment as opposed to a MONA establishment. Now, the difference is that with a MONA hall, for example, Rex Nettleford, Taylor Hall, and Mary Seacole Hall, just to name a few, those are operated, or the management of said halls are operated by, through the MONA campus. Therefore, if there are any charges to be applied to the students living on those halls, you can expect to see that on your statement of accounts that is available through the bursary website. If you're living on a 138 establishment, for example, Irvin Hall or a Leslie Robinson Hall, then payments are made directly to that establishment. Or, a breakdown of what the fees are, since you are making payment to them directly. So as mentioned before, the fees for this academic year, the tuition cost, it is dependent on the program of study. The miscellaneous fee, if you are living on a hall, would be 28,967 Jamaican dollars. If you opt not to live on a hall, or you are studying remotely, then the miscellaneous fee to anticipate is 20,667 Jamaican dollars. Both these figures already include the cost of what your ID card should be. So if you've paid that, then you can go to the ID room to sort out your ID pictures. If you do not have the proof of payment to provide to the ID room, then the Student Administrative Services section can help you in that regard by providing you with a payment slip or a proof of payment slip that you can present to them. If you are living on a hall as well, the fee to be applied will differ based on which hall you are living on. But so how do you find these fees that I've mentioned? So from any search engine, be it Google Chrome, Safari, Microsoft Edge, you can type in check fees UWI Mona or UWI check fees. It is usually the first link that is populated in the search results. And upon clicking on that link, you'll be brought to a platform that looks like this. So depending on which fee or which information you're looking for will determine which link you click on. So if you are a new undergraduate student and you want to see what your undergraduate fee is for your program, naturally you will click the one for tuition fees for undergraduate programs. If you want clarification on what halls are UWI operated versus 138 student living, you can see the differences on this page as well, but you can also see what the cost is to reside on these halls. There's also a payment link here as well. So if you would want to make your payments online via the e-commerce website, you can use the online tuition payment link here, which will bring you to the e-commerce platform where you will be able to register your card and make your payments via the online method. So for the fees for this semester, they are due today, January 13th, 2023. So if you have not yet made payments, then you're urged to go ahead and sort out your financial obligation to the institution, as this is your responsibility as well. If you are being funded through a scholarship or your government is assisting with your tuition, then you are encouraged to relay the information to the Student Administrative Services section so that you can be properly advised as to what to do. There are penalties if payments are not made in a timely manner, and I will get to that as well, but I would like to encourage you to reach out to us before it comes to that. So as a regional or an international student, the two popular payment methods used would be here in office at the UWI bursary cashiers, or persons take advantage of the e-commerce platform. But there are also other payment outlets. So if you opt to live on hall or you're residing within the country, you can use any other payment location listed here. And we will be able to get the funds, update your account in a timely manner. All these payment locations, they already have our banking information, but you are encouraged to ensure that your ID number is included in the transaction so we can know which account should be updated with the payment that was made. So if you go to the bursary cashiers, ensure that your ID number is listed there. When you make your payment, regardless of which payment location is used, ensure that you look on your receipt. Take a look on the transaction. Is it the amount that is reflected there, what you had intended to pay? Or is your ID number included there? If it is it the correct ID number? If there are any discrepancies that are found on the receipt at that time, you can reach out to the merchant directly. So if you came to the cashiers and there's some form of discrepancy with the ID number, for example, you can go back to the cashier that processed the transaction for them to make the corrections. But if it has been a little while and you've realized that, I made a payment, I realize I'm not seeing it on my statement, you can definitely send a copy of the receipt to us here in the Student Administrative Services section for us to aid in locating said payment and to subsequently update your statement of accounts. So the Bursary Online Student System, aka BOSS, is basically the platform that that SAS uses to interact with our students. So we're trying to make it easier for our students, not having the need to come in office for everything. Not saying that you cannot come in office, but we're trying to make it easier for you. So if you'd like to know what your account balance is, what your outstanding balance is, if you want to see what charges have been applied to your account up to a point, then you can sign into the Bursary online student system and you can see your statement of accounts, your unofficial statement of accounts. So again, from any search engine, you can type UWI online systems. Under the section for students, you will see the link for the Bursary online student system. Click on that, and the same credentials that you use to access other UWI websites like ORVLE or the SAS registration website, that is what you will use to sign in to the Bursary website. When you're there, depending on the form that you're looking for, you will click on form and go through the list of forms that are there. Some of the available forms are, you can check for your statement of accounts. You can request an official copy of the statement of accounts for those persons who might need to take advantage of the installment plans that we have available. This is where you would also go to make an official request. If at any point you need to transfer money from, for example, your tuition account over to your housing account, we call that a housing allocation, then this is also the platform that you use to make that request. Now, for each form that is available on the Bursary website, we also have a little section there with some information as to what the form is about and what service it will enable. So you can read through that just to ensure that you are selecting the correct form. So I mentioned earlier that the payment deadline is January 13th, which is today. And that payment deadline is for full payment of your tuition, residence, and the miscellaneous fees where applicable. Now, if you're unable to make the payment in full, then you are encouraged to take advantage of the installment plans that we have available. So basically, the installment plan enables your ability to pay the tuition or the residence fee in parts. Regrettably, we do not offer installment plans for miscellaneous fees, so it is only for tuition or residence. Now, to qualify for a tuition installment plan, you ought to be fully registered, meaning you went ahead and you selected all your courses that you need to sit for this semester. So that way, the charge that is populated for the tuition on your statement can be correct. You need to ensure that the miscellaneous fee is paid in its entirety. A deposit of 25% of your tuition fee for this semester is due upfront. And if you're a returning Pelican by any chance and you would have had a balance outstanding before, then you need to ensure that this is sorted out, this is resolved, so you can then make the deposit and qualify for the installment plan, having met the other requirements as well. In order to qualify for the residence installment plan, then you need to ensure that the charge is reflected on your housing account. The residence installment plan, before I go any further, is only applicable to the halls that are operated through Mona. We have no plans at the moment for 138 student living, but you can speak with them directly to know what your options are. Going back to the requirements for the residence installment plan, you need to ensure as well here that the miscellaneous fee would have been paid, and a 25% deposit is required for the residence fee as well. So 25% of whatever residence charge was applied to your account. You need to also ensure that if you had any balances outstanding for residents, by any chance, that these are cleared in order to get access to the plan. So earlier I showed you the Bursary online student system, that particular interface. I just want to remind you that the installment plan application is submitted here. So you go onto the installment plan by submitting the application through BOSS, and thereafter we will review the request. If there are any discrepancies, we will contact you so you can make the necessary changes and we can proceed with the application for the plan. Making the application for the plan does not guarantee an automatic approval. So there will be a processing of the request and you will be informed if we have any concerns. If you go onto the plan this semester and you opt to do the plan another semester, then you have to basically repeat the process. So the plan is done per semester, where in which you make the application each semester, so it doesn't automatically roll over. All right. The installment plan, the deadline to get on the plan would be January 27th, 2023 for semester 2. So for the breakdown of the plan is done on the balance that you have outstanding, whether it is the balance for tuition or residence where applicable, right? So after making the minimum of 25% or more of whatever the charge is, then the remaining amount will be divided into 3 equal parts, wherein which a payment is due at the end of February, March, and April. So it would be divided into 25% of this balance up until April. So only maximum 3 months. If you are of the belief that, you don't need the full 3 months for the balance that you have outstanding, then you can change to say, all right, you need 1 month or you need 2 months. It's up to you. But the maximum amount of time that you can get would be 3 months, whether it is for the housing or the tuition installment plan. So as mentioned before, there are some penalties that are enforced if you are not financially cleared, meaning you are not in good financial standing with the institution. So starting the end of January, if there are any fees outstanding, then a 1% late fine can be calculated on said balance and charged to the account until the account is regularized, meaning it is no longer in arrears and the balance has been cleared. If you are on an installment plan and you are in arrears with the installment plan, meaning you've missed your payment, then you're also subject to a late fine. If you have monies outstanding for the institution, then you will be impacted with a financial hold. Having a financial hold restricts your ability to sit exams or even to access certain facilities online or on the campus. Online in the sense in which you cannot see your records, you cannot see your grades, you cannot see your transcript. For those accounts that fall extremely delinquent and the institution has made efforts to reach out to you to inform you of said balance, but there hasn't been any form of change, then the account itself can be transferred to a local collection agency who will do due diligence on the university's behalf to collect the monies that are outstanding. So before I go further, I just want to bring forward some frequently asked questions, just in case any of these are standing out for you. So can the fees be paid per semester? And I just want to say yes. So for the academic year, we usually quote what the tuition is per annum. However, you are billed per semester, meaning if your tuition for the year was, say, for argument's sake, 300,000 Jamaican dollars, then half of it would have been charged in semester 1, the remainder in semester 2. If it is your first time registering for the academic year and it is semester 2, then you're required to pay that tuition plus the miscellaneous fee for the year. So the miscellaneous fee is only charged once per academic year, and it is billed the first time you register within the academic year. How do you check your account balance? So as mentioned earlier, the Bursary Online Student System, aka BOSS, you can sign into that platform and use the option to see the statement of accounts. There you will see all the transactions, whether it is charges or payments that have been applied to your account over the period of time. You can also see what your balance is overall. And if you have any questions about it, definitely reach out to us and we can help in resolving your concerns. Can someone be sent to conduct business on your behalf? You can go ahead and send someone. However, you can definitely give SAS the approval to say, hey, I'm giving you the approval to disclose information about my account to this individual. But how do you go about communicating that to us? How do you go about giving us the approval to do this? Again, from the bursary website, UWI Boss, there is a form there that is called proxy authorization. Here, you will be required to include the name of the person that you are sending to do business on your behalf. And you will be required to include the ID type and the ID number that this person should be presenting to SAS when they come to do business on your behalf. In a nutshell, we take your privacy very seriously. We're talking about financial matters, and that can be very sensitive. So we just want to ensure that we are giving the information to the correct person or someone that is authorized by the client. Again, where can you make payments? All our payment locations are listed here. So for you as a regional or international student, the popular options would be to make the payment directly to the bursary cashiers or to use an online payment platform. For the online payment platform, it does accept foreign currencies. So when you're registering your card, you will be able to see what the different currencies are that the system will actually support. If you're not seeing the currency that you're looking for, then more than likely the system will not accept the transaction or even register the card. You might have some challenges. But if you have any challenges registering your card on our e-commerce platform, then you can reach out to the Mona Information Technology Services, aka MITS, for guidance, and they can give you the information that you seek. What is the difference between a tuition letter and a statement of accounts? Now, with the tuition letter, at this stage in the academic year, it is closed. However, if this is the document that you actually need, you can definitely speak with us and we see how best we can assist. So for the tuition letter, it will outline all the charges that the student is expected to be billed for the academic year. So if you are living on hall and you want us to include that information there, a Mona operated hall, you would give us that information so we know which billing or which charge to put on the tuition letter. So it outlines what the cost is for tuition, miscellaneous, and residence where applicable. The statement of accounts, however, it gives you a breakdown of all the transactions that have been applied to the account over the period of time. So it will tell you what charges have been applied, and it will also show you what payments have been applied. How long does it take for a payment to reflect on your account? At the bursary cashiers or the UWI e-commerce platform, that is the online platform that I've made reference to, the payment is usually reflected on the account at that same time that the transaction was done. If there are any delays, then you are encouraged to reach out to us so we can advise you accordingly. However, if you're making payments at, for example, any other payment location that I had mentioned, the Western Union, Bill Express, or Educom, UWI Educom, that is another payment location, anyone except the bursary cashier and the UWI e-commerce, there is a processing time of at least 24 to 48 business hours. If by any chance that you did an international wire transfer to make a payment, then there will be some delays, and it can go up to approximately 3 weeks. If you do the international wire transfer, however, then at that point you need to reach out to us so the correct banking information can be provided to you. And upon making the payment via international wire transfer, then you definitely have to reach out to us and provide us with your proof of payment. If you do not, then what will happen is that it will cause further delays in your statement itself being updated. And we would basically need that information to better assist you. So the receipt itself will help us to help you. Well, if 24 to 48 hours have passed, what do you do? That's if your payment is not showing, reach out to us by email or WhatsApp with a copy of the receipt. So our email address, it is customer.services at uiimona.edu.jm. We accept WhatsApp chats only, so you can send a picture of the receipt to 876-280-8238. Ensure that the copy that you're sending is very clear and it is substantial, meaning we're seeing the entire thing, not just a portion of it. So we'd want to see all the transaction information, the transaction ID, all of that, because it will help us in locating the payment for you. What is the US bank account number? For all the payment locations that I had mentioned before, they already have our banking details. However, if it is needed for an international wire transfer, at that point, we can provide the information for you. But it is encouraged that you use the other payment locations that were mentioned, since those are automated and it is easier and quicker for the student. But if you have no other options and you definitely need to do the wire transfer, feel free to reach out to us so you can be provided with the correct information. So in a nutshell, that is what we are about here in the bursary. Any financial queries, you can definitely reach out to us. We're open Mondays to Fridays, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30. If you need to speak with one of our customer service agents, you can call 876-618-9066, or you can speak with the operator at 876-927-1660 for them to transfer you to the section. As mentioned earlier, our email address is customer.services@uiimona.edu.jm. We will respond to your email queries within 24 hours, no later than 48 hours. Or if you want to WhatsApp us and speak with the agent there, you can send us a chat at 876-280-8238. Finally, we also have a live chat, meaning if you go on the bursary website, UiBots, there's a live chat option there. Once enabled, you will be able to speak with a representative at that point. So again, welcome to the University of the West Indies. I wish you all the best, and this is coming from the bursary department.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you ever so much for your excellent presentation.
You're welcome.
Great. So you really gave us a fulsome frequently asked questions segment there, but we'll just see if there are any lingering questions from students. You can indicate that with a show of hands. If not, then we can move on to the next segment. All right, so it doesn't appear to be the case. So thank you again, Kimberly. I really appreciate you and the SAS team for coming and presenting. And so we'll move on to the next session. All right, so now for our next presentation, we will outline some of the immigration requirements and considerations that you need to make. Elizabeth Bailey from our office will present, and I understand that we'll start with a brief poll. Is that correct, Elizabeth?
Yes, Mr. Dunn. Hi again, guys. So I'm going to launch a poll for you guys, and then after my presentation, we will review the results. All right, so we can launch the poll now. Have you traveled before? So you present your answers. We're going to give you guys maybe 30 seconds to go ahead and put in your answers. And then after my presentation, we will review. All right, so can we close the polls in another 5 seconds? Yes. All right, so the polls are now closed. All right, so I will be presenting today on immigration, more so the extension of stay. What is the extension of stay? All non-Jamaican students admitted to the University of the West Indies Mona campus are required to acquire an extension of stay visa. This extension of stay is considered your student visa and must be obtained by the end date stamped in your travel document on your first arrival on the island. Please note that the date stamped that is placed in your passport at your port of entry only qualifies you to be a visitor on the island, and you are expected to obtain your student status by acquiring your extension of stay. Now, guys, you're going to focus to the photo below, where you see those dotted lines that indicate landed until, whichever date the immigration officer places on that line, you cannot let that pass until you have done your extension of stay. If you have not done your extension of stay and that date passes, you will be fined. And furthermore, in my presentation, I'll tell you just how much. All right, what are the documents that you need to complete your extension of stay? A valid passport no less than 6 months to the expiration date, a letter from an educational institution registered by the Ministry of Education addressed to the Chief Executive Officer of PICA. This is your status letter. Your status letter can be done here at the Admissions and International Office if you are an undergraduate student, and if you're a postgraduate student, it can be done at the postgraduate section. You will also need a return ticket valid for 1 year, and if applicable, an entry visa. What does the extension of stay process entails? It is important to note that the extension of stay consists of 2 processes. One which is done by the Admissions and International Office, and the other which we advise students to go down to PICA on their own. The process entails you must be a fully registered MONA student in order to receive your extension of stay. Payments must be made by the bursary cashier. You complete your application for extension of stay form, sections A, C, and D. You complete section B only if you are accompanied by your spouse, which is your husband or wife, and or your children. In section C, you select student as the reason for your extension of stay. Your occupation is student, with your employer being the University of the West Indies Mona, Kingston 7, and the address UWI Mona, Kingston 7. Continuing, for your reference section of your application form, it is important for students to note that these are the only 2 persons that should be inputted within this section. This is Dr. Marsha Morgan Allen, which is the Senior Assistant Registrar, which is also our Head of Department at the Admissions and International Office, and also Mr. Jason McKenzie, the Director of Office of Student Services and Development. You will sign and date the form in section D. Do not complete any information on page 2, and you will submit a completed application form, your cashier's receipt, and your passport to the international office. That is if we are doing the process. If we are not doing the process, you will carry your passport, your completed form, and your status letter to the PICA offices where payments will be made there. What are the fees for the extension of stay process? All non-Jamaican students are asked to note the fees below. Whether you are a visitor, a student, work permit exemptions, married exemptions, and dependent, you pay 10,000 Jamaican dollars for your extension of stay. However, if you overstay and wish to regularize your stay on the island, you will be fined a whopping 50,000 Jamaican dollars. So again, back to the first slide where I indicated where that landed until stamp date. I told you don't let that pass and you have not regularized yourself. If that date has passed, you will be fined 50,000 Jamaican dollars to regularize your stay in the island. What are the fees in continuing? So there are some additional fees that may attract. You may have to do a transfer of a valid visa to a new visa, which costs 5,000 Jamaican dollars. And they're all non-Commonwealth nationals, as well as Nigeria, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, British Virgin Islands, and Cayman seeking an extension of stay, except visitor extension, are required to pay a multiple entry visa fee. Now, I implore you guys to visit the PICA website to see if your country will allow, to see the country that you're from, you will be required to pay a multiple entry visa. All right, so view the PICA website to see if your country is among those. And of course, housekeeping. We here at Admissions and International Office really want you guys to feel like this is your second home. So we're open from Monday to Friday from 8:30 to 4:30 p.m. And our contact number is 876-702-3737. You can always shoot us an email at isomona@uwimona.edu.jm, and don't feel free to walk in. We're always available and waiting for you guys. Now let's go back to the poll results to see what it is like. Wow, several of you have traveled a few times. It's good to know. Very, very good to know. Over to you now, Mr. Dunn.
Right. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. So I see that we have some relatively experienced travelers with us. All right. So thank you again for your presentation, Elizabeth. And I just want to reemphasize how important it is for all of you to get your extension of stay processed as soon as possible. Because trust me, those fines are no joke and they're very strict. So we encourage you to not at all throw, your money away. So now, speaking of money, our next presentation is about managing your money while studying abroad. And to help us through this topic, we invite Tony Ann Reed from International Students Office. Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Good afternoon again, everyone. Today I'll be presenting on managing your money. One of the best ways to manage your money is to create a budget. You may ask, why create a budget? For one, it gives you an idea of how much money you will need so that you'll be able to cover your expenses and incidentals without experiencing a shortfall. It ensures that you are managing your money wisely and not wasting your funds on things that are not important. And finally, it prevents impulse spending. Before we move into my presentation, I'd like to familiarize you with our local currency. Jamaican banknotes are issued in denominations of $50, $100, $500, $1,000, and $5,000 bills. Each note bears a unique watermark and features a distinct image on each. So, for example, you will see our $500 bill bears the image of the Right Excellent Nanny of the Maroons, one of our national heroes. I should highlight that she is one of the only female heroine. Okay, here is a chart that will reflect the Jamaican dollar currency in relation to a few international currencies, namely US dollar, euro, TNT, Great Britain, and the Swedish krona. All right, so we can take a look at the $1,000 Jamaican bill. It equates to $6.66 US dollars, $7.04 euro, and $45.02 in TNT currency. So you can just take a brief look to familiarize yourself and to see how the currency equates. Things to budget for. As my colleague spoke to previously, extension of stay fee. You will also need to bear in mind there'll be tuition and miscellaneous fees, housing and utilities, books and other learning materials, as well as local transportation, groceries, daily meals, incidentals, entertainment, and your just in case unforeseen funds. How to reduce some expenses. You can opt to become a student worker. You may also want to apply for a grant, bursary, or scholarships, and also utilize campus facilities. How to reduce some of these expenses. You could prepare a budget. You will have to dedicate some time and efforts to creating this document. And on the slide, you will see an example of how this can look. You will need to do some research in an effort to get the cost of each budgeted item. You will need to ensure that you tailor the budget to suit your needs and also revise as needed. And remember, more importantly, you will need to stick to your budget in an effort for it to be effective. Now I'll be looking at how to open a local bank account. All right, so you will need to ensure, in order to sustain yourself while you're here in Jamaica, it is very important for you to open an account. It can be used for such things as paying for groceries, paying for your bills, and your day-to-day expenses. Setting up a local bank account will enable you to conduct these transactions with ease while providing a safe and secure place to store your funds. With all that said, here are the benefits of opening a local bank account. It is cheaper. You're able to save on conversion rates, as different places may offer different rates of exchange for paying for items. Next, safety. It prevents you from carrying around large amounts of cash, and it provides a safe place for you to store your funds. Third, accessibility. You will have 24-hour access to the bank's many automated teller machines located throughout the island, and you'll be able to monitor your account via online banking. And finally, the convenience. You'll be able to make payments and receive funds with ease. Your friends and family will be able to transfer funds to your account from overseas. Things to know before opening the bank account. Once you have a bank account, there are certain fees that become applicable. There are transaction fees, ATM fees, transfer fees, as well as in-branch and withdrawal fees. Each bank has their own fee structure, so feel free to go on their individual websites and view their rates. And secondly, there are minimum amounts to open a bank account. Where to go to open your bank account? Here on campus, we have the Bank of Nova Scotia, National Commercial Bank, Jamaica National, Edicom Cooperative Credit Union. Based on their location, we would recommend them due to the proximity to you on campus, but ultimately the choice is yours. So feel free to do your research to determine which institution suits you best. And I should also mention that all the branches on campus are cashless. There are also other banks off campus, such as Sagicor, First Caribbean, and First Global, to name a few. What are the requirements to opening a bank account? You will need to ensure that you have a valid passport or a national ID. You will need a taxpayer registration number. This is a document similar to, say, for instance, a social security number in the United States. You will need references, proof of address, source of funds, and you will also need to prove your student status in most instances. And finally, you'll be required to complete an application form. All right, before I had mentioned the TRN, you may be wondering what exactly is a TRN. Okay, this is a unique 9-digit identification number assigned to each individual. It is needed to transact businesses in various institutions such as banks, etc. Anyone can apply for a TRN by completing the application form on the tax website. And this website is www.jamaicatax.gov.jm. You can also complete the application form in office. Please be guided that if you complete the application form online, you will still be required to go in office to complete the process. You can visit any tax office to apply for your TRN except for the Crossroads location. What will you need to apply? You will need a valid passport in English or your original birth certificate. Also, the completed application form. It is a same-day process. You will be provided with a TRN assignment letter until the actual document is ready. It is at no cost to you. It normally takes around 4 to 6 weeks on average for it to be completed. We normally suggest that you call in ahead before you go to collect at any one of their locations. Please ensure that you carry an ID when you're going to do the collection. All right, so once you have successfully set up your bank account, you will be provided with a bank card, or what we call an ATM or debit card. You'll be required to set up a PIN, which will allow you to access your account from any of the numerous ATMs and multi-link ATMs island-wide. You will also be able to use your debit card at any point of sale location. And just like that, you are all set. Opening a bank account is a great way for you, the international and regional student, to avoid unnecessary foreign transaction fees and easily access your funds while studying abroad. Thank you.
All right, excellent. So thank you very much, Tony, for your presentation. I see that there was a question that popped up in the chat from Jacob. He's asking, will I have to wait the 4 to 6 weeks before the TRN is fully complete before I can set up the bank account?
No, because you will be issued a temporary TRN assignment letter until the actual card is ready. So you can still conduct business with that assignment letter. The 4 to 6 weeks is for the actual card that you will receive, but you can conduct business in the interim by using the temporary letter.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tony. So keeping you safe is, of course, paramount importance. So we'll now have a brief presentation from the Director of Campus Security, Mr. Norman Haywood. All right, seemed there were some challenges sharing Mr. Haywood's video. Let me see if I can try from my end.
Hello, I'm Norman Haywood, Director of Security for the University of the West Indies Mona campus. On behalf of the security team on campus, I wish to welcome you to the University of the West Indies Mona and to assure you that your safety and security is our #1 priority. The Mona campus is situated on approximately 650 acres of enclosed property. It is secured on a 24-hour basis by a team of over 200 security personnel and a state-of-the-art surveillance camera system. While the prevalence of violent crimes are relatively low on campus, it is important that you follow the advisory and safety tips given to maintain this low trend and avoid becoming a victim. Our data has shown that most reported incidents involve the theft of personal effects, such as phones, laptops, knapsacks with valuable left in motor vehicle or in unlocked rooms or halls. For your own safety and security, please comply with the guidelines given below. 1. All students and staff must display their identification cards while on campus. 2. Report all suspicious activities or situations you are not comfortable with to the Mona Police or the campus security. 3. Engage the campus security escort service when traveling alone across campus at nights. 4. Ensure that your cash, electronic equipment, credit, and debit cards and other valuables are secured at all times, even if you are leaving your dorm for a short moment. 5, do not leave bags, packages, or any items that may appear to contain valuables in your car, even if they are empty. 6, do not engage the unofficial transportation system. Only use official taxis or buses. The university will assist you by providing a list of vetted public transportation system. 7, always make a note of the registration plate of any taxi before entering. This can be done by simply taking a picture with your phone before entering. 8, access and read the Student Security Manual, otherwise called the Student Companion, and it can be found at www.mona.edu/security. Here are a few numbers for you to remember. The Mona Police at 876-8377192 or 876-9272298. The Central Security Incident Monitoring Station, which operates on a 24-hour basis, can be reached at 876-702-4334. It is important for you to note that while the presence of physical security will protect you to some extent, it is your own awareness, alertness, and attitude towards security and safety that will keep you and your property safe at all times. Enjoy your stay in Jamaica, and remember, safety and security begins with you. Thank you.
All right, so we thank Mr. Haywood for his presentation. Of course, we hope that you take special note of the guidance that he has shared. And we encourage you, of course, to do all you can to keep yourself safe, both on and off campus. So for our last segment, we wanted you to hear from one of your own. So who better to speak to you than someone who has had firsthand experience with what it is like to be a regional or international student here at the UWI Mona. So we now invite Briannie Smith, who is a former student from Belize, just to share with you a little bit about her experiences here in Jamaica, and to share some tips as well that can help you to settle in and make the most of your experience. So over to you, Briannie.
Right, thank you, Mr. Dunn. Good afternoon. Yes, afternoon, everybody. So I'll be sharing with you guys really quickly and briefly some of my experience being a student in Jamaica. First off, my name is Briannie Smith. I'm 21. Every time I become a new age, I have to try to remember what it is. So I'm 21. I'm a recent graduate of the University of the West Indies. I recently graduated with my Bachelor of Science degree in accounting with a minor in studies. Sorry. And just a few things that I want to share with you guys. So first off, I know we've heard a lot of information today, very valuable information, of course. And one thing that I really want to zero in on is how important it is to budget. So when you come at first, I know for me, my experience was that the Belizean currency is a bit stronger than the Jamaican dollar. So my money stretches a bit further than the typical person. So when I came, I was like, oh, Starbucks and Domino's and Pizza Hut and you name it, they have it here. While in Belize growing up, interestingly enough, if you didn't know, Belize has no fast food franchises. So zero, none. No Burger King, no Popeyes, no Starbucks, no nothing. So coming out here for the first time and only getting to experience those franchises when I was traveling through the US and so forth, I was like, I'm going to experience everything that Jamaica has to offer in terms of fast food and stuff like that. So it's very easy to get lost in the rabbit hole of spending. So my advice is to you, make sure that your tuition and your hall fees are paid first and foremost, and all other fees associating to your studies, that those are paid off first, and make sure that you buy your groceries. And then after that, you can look at the money that you have left and budget it out for different things that you know that you'd want to do and the things that you'd want to experience. Jamaica has a floating economy, if you didn't know. So the exchange rate changes from day to day. So what might be one price today, a few weeks from now, or between when you buy your groceries, the prices might change. So you have to keep that in mind as well. And for me, I would say one of the greatest inventions ever is the credit card. It made it very easy for me for all 3 of my years at the university to pay my school fees, to go out, not having to take around a lot of money with me. But like what was mentioned earlier with the transaction fees, it depends on the ATM that you go to. The transaction fees for withdrawing money from your credit card may be different. So that's just something to keep in mind. But you can use your credit card just as use an ATM, just as use a NCB or a JN or whatever card it is. Next thing, bring your favorite snacks and food ingredients, because when I was at home, I never cooked. Let me say I did not cook. I didn't cook often because my mom cooked for me. I left Belize when I was 17. Yeah, so when I started U that the August of 2019, I wasn't 18 yet. I would have turned 18 in October. So there's a lot of things that I didn't know how to do for myself, and a lot of things that I didn't think that I would miss. Things that I ended up having to make myself, Google or YouTube the recipe and try it out for myself. And I quickly realized that there's a lot of the ingredients to make the stuff that I miss so much and I didn't think I would miss. A lot of the ingredients aren't in Jamaica. So every time I would go home, and all of the ingredients to make the foods that I would miss the most. So keep that it's not guaranteed that you're accustomed to eating is going to be out here. So make sure that you make provision in your luggage to bring those stuff along with you. Next, you don't have to be at every party. You don't have to be at every event. And the UA is very famous for having an event, a seminar, party, a lecture, anything you can think about. It happens at least one event every day of the week, and this happens all semester long. So it's very important to pick and choose things you want to go to. And then there's always this big clash, this 3-way clash, I would say, between things that are happening off campus, as in the greater Kingston, they're having outside. Then you have things that are happening on campus. And then if you live in a hall of residence, there's things that are happening on hall. So imagine you're having events from comes out, you have to realize that these events, some of them cost money. And you have to think about transportation, money there, and stuff like that. So you don't need to be at everything. Pick and choose the ones that you want to go to and make sure that you're not going alone and that you're going with a group of people to ensure that you're safe at all times. Be prepared for shock. Most definitely. Jamaica, for me, I grew up fascinated with Jamaica, seeing it in the media and stuff, and Jamaica in the media and living here is 2 different things, I would say. So my advice to you is be prepared. Be learning new, nothing that you think at home would flies out here. So like, for example, in Belize, I could walk down the street, any street, even with all of my jewelry, my phone in my back pocket, and nobody would bother me whatsoever. Now in Jamaica, if I am going anywhere remotely close to Crossroads, downtown Kingston, which I don't recommend you going alone, or even to a regular party, I do not wear my authentic gold jewelry because there is a possibility that you're going to be targeted. And that's just being real. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just trying to be, real and authentic with you. And these are things that do happen to people. So I could do that at home, yes, and nobody bothers me, but out here it's a different scenario. So be careful when you're going out with your jewelry, with your phones. Like was said earlier, with your laptops, your bags, they might cut the bottom of your bag when you're on the street. Somebody might bump into you and that's your phone they just took out of your pocket and you didn't even realize, and stuff like that. So just be careful and always be aware. Something else is the way that Jamaicans speak. Not only Jamaicans, but people from other Caribbean islands, we all have similar things that we say, but they don't all mean the same thing. And for example, one of those things that I always refer back to when I share my experience is when Jamaicans say hush. If they were to bump into you, mash your toe, spill something on you or anything like that by mistake, they say hush. Hush as to mean sorry, not hush. For me in Belize, hush means to shut up, like stop talking, be quiet. So when somebody bumped into me when I just came, and they told me hush, I looked at my friend and I was like, why should I tell me to shut up? Because what? Like I didn't even do anything. You bumped into me and you're going to tell me to shut up. And then I remember complaining to one of my Jamaican friends later on in the day, and she said, oh, Brie, you have so much to learn. It just means sorry. It's not that we're telling you to shut up. So as you go along and you make friends and you meet people, you'll realize that you'll pick up the different slangs and words that they say that's going to help you to better be acclimatized. And one last thing on that point is if you're going to go to the market or somewhere that requires speaking to a vendor, take a Jamaican with you or somebody that can speak like a Jamaican. Because for example, me, I would think my patois is pretty good. And I can pass for a Jamaican 9.5 times out of 10. I usually wear my Belize flag on my head like you see right now, or I have on a Belize shirt or something like that that would make you know that I'm not Jamaican, but otherwise I can pass. So when you're going out and anything that involves speaking to a vendor, anything like that, take a Jamaican or somebody that can speak like a Jamaican with you. And trust me, it is going to help. You're going to get the best price and you're going to just trust me. It's the best thing that you're going. It's a good tool to have in your back pocket. Another thing is getting homesick is real. I didn't think that I would miss home as much as I did when I left. I remember my first night that I got into my dorm room, I cried and I called my mom and I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to come home. Yeah, I don't know what I was thinking about coming all the way out here. Yeah, I want to change my mind. I don't want it anymore. Like, let's reverse all of this and let me go back home, which I couldn't. But, call home. Surround yourself with people that are going to make you feel close to home. And for me, in my dorm room, anybody that lived with me could tell you and testify to the fact that I was the most patriotic person that they ever knew. I had a Belize flag on my closet door. I had a big flag in my room put up above my bed. I had a Belize coat of arms coaster. Anything Belize branded or Belize memorabilia related. I had a Belize coffee mug, all of those things. Like I was 100% decked out and I never thought that I would be that person. So getting homesick is real, especially on the days that, you come home from class, you don't really have anybody to talk to, everybody's busy. Days like that is when you really feel it. So allow yourself to feel sad. It's okay to be sad about it. But again, fill up your space with people and with things that are going to make you feel better. Next, get involved. I 101% recommend getting involved, whether it be on hall. For me, it was easier to be more involved on hall. If there's a country or island association for your specific country, get involved. It's going to make you feel better when you guys do things together. I had my Belizean Student Association. We always did stuff together. We always cooked together, played games, went out, stuff like that. It makes you feel closer to home. Student leadership. When I started UWI, coming from high school and junior college, for me, I was never really involved. I wasn't one of those people because I always thought, oh, it's just a popularity contest. But moving here, I said, you know what, it's a blank page, it's a new slate, and now is definitely the time. I encourage you to step out of your comfort zone, put yourself out there. And it really gave me the space to start over. And I was a student leader for all of my years at the university. I made sure that, I volunteered my services and that I stepped out of my comfort zone, and I was always of service. Case in point right now. Sororities and fraternities. I won't get too much into that, but trust me, if you live on a hall that has that kind of setup, that they have sororities and fraternities, which are like more, more knit groups inside of your halls of residencies, I encourage you to join them. I've had some of the best experiences I'm going to share later on. One of the experiences that my sorority gifted to me, climbing Blue Mountain. So yeah, there's just so many benefits that come with being involved on hall, and being involved with all that your halls are, all that the places that you live have to offer. Ask questions. There is no such thing as a dumb question. I frequented the International Students Office a lot. And it was better for me to just go in and ask, and they were always very helpful, very nice, and willing to help you whatever it is. And if they can't help right away, they'll take down your number, take down your email, and they'll get back to you as soon as possible. I think I see Mr. Spence on when I was just a fresher. When I just started UWI, I had a lot of questions. I was supposed to be at the Mona campus, but I registered for the WJC campus on the other side of the island. I didn't know what to do. They told me that it was full. But Mr. Spence really was very, very helpful and instrumental with me being at Mona, and having the experience that I had. If it wasn't for him helping me through that little, gray period of whether or not I would be in Mobay or where I would be in Kingston, I don't know if I would be in Kingston or even leave Belize as of right now. So winding down, use the UWI resources. So I know we talked about the Office of Placement and Career Services. Actually, I got my job, the job that I landed right after graduation, through the interviews and the job fair that the Office of Placement and Career Services did with one of the big 4 accounting firms globally. That is as much as I can say. But that experience came through the Office of Placement and Careers. They set up the meeting, set up the interview and everything. They had for all faculties, no matter what your major was, there was an opportunity to get interviewed by these companies. And it's just a very great perk, I guess, of being a UWI Pelican, that you have access to all of these resources. Also, there was this global mentorship initiative that was happening, and they were sending out emails saying that, if you want to be a part and sign up. And, I wasn't sure if I wanted an actual mentor or what the experience would be like, but I am so glad that I did it. A lot of the times you get like 1,000,001 emails and you're like, do I have to really read the emails right now? It's kind of like, too much. But trust me, if you're going to skim over them, at least skim over them, because you'll miss out on great opportunities like the Global Mentorship Initiative. Sent in my email, they paired me with somebody that's working in my field currently abroad. Her name was Stephanie, and she works at Microsoft in Silicon Valley. And she helped me put together my resume, fix it up, how to be in my interviews. She was there with me along with the whole process of me interviewing for my jobs and getting a job and what it's like being in the job and feeling like, you know, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Is this the right job for me? And she was just a really good coach and a really good guide. So that's another perk again of being a UA Pelican. So take advantage of all of the resources. I know they were talking about the online systems that UA has, Orvally, Boss, SAS, all of those systems are made and designed. Oh, MITS too, they're very good with responding very timely through their chat systems and everything. These systems are made to make our life easier. So I encourage you to make sure that you make use of them. And lastly, as I wrap up my presentation, I'm just going to share with you guys really quick some highlights of my time at the UA. So let me just start fresh. Okay, so this slide right here, I don't know if you guys can see it, hoping that you can. This slide right here was when during homecoming activities, they were having a culturally corporate competition. So this was me and my association president at the time. This is an ethnic attire, ethnic dress from Belize, and showing that, you know, you can wear, or UA is one of those places that allows you to, you know, be in the corporate space, but still staying true to who you are and your culture, and the fact that, you know, being culturally aware and working in the corporate world, that they can coexist. Every year, for CARICOM at least, I don't know about other countries, but for the countries in CARICOM, they, on our Independence Day, every single year at 6 or 7 a.m., they raise your country's flag, and it's on display for the entire day. You get to go down there and take pictures. I went down there, and, you know, it was a time for me to reflect. I played my national anthem. I just really reflected, and it's such a nice thing, I think, that the UA does this, and they've kept the tradition every single year from before I got to the UA and after I left. So I really love that about being a part of what it was like being a UA Pelican. This was what I was talking about with the gift that my sorority gave me. So it was a part of our executive team. We wanted a bonding trip, and everybody was like, well, I never climbed Blue Mountain before. And I was very naive. I was like, oh, you know, that there's this big mountain in Belize, and I climbed it one time, and, you know, I can do this. And I haven't climbed the highest mountain in Belize, but I climbed one that was like second to it. So I was like, it's gonna be easy. And why did it rain? It rained, the terrain, some of it you had to like lay down, sit down, slide, climb, and hold on. Wow, was such a time. And I don't recommend, if you are not in any kind of physical condition, to climb 7 hours back up. I climbed for 14 hours. So it was 7 hours going up and 7 hours coming down. It gets extremely cold. You see me there, I had on 2 sweaters, and I had on a tights and a pair of thick pants over it. It was really cold so early in the morning, but it was such a beautiful experience. I don't know if you guys can see the view of the mountains and everything that we had there. It was just such an amazing time. The UA candlelight service that they have around homecoming, I think, you have the option to, you know, wear your country, represent your country, and I took advantage of that because I always have wanted to be and continue to be an ambassador for and to Belize. This is actually a homecoming parade. It's one of my favorite experiences that I had at UA. So I got to represent my hall. I'm a little bit biased. So if you ask what is the best hall on campus, I'm going to say that it's Irving Hall. Yeah, because we're just the best, and that's just that. It's okay. So I got to march with my hall, and my hall allowed me to carry my flag with me, representing my country. I also had my friends from like Trinidad and Barbados and St. Vincent, and all of us got to carry our flags while still representing our hall at the same time. And I think, not being biased, but I think Irvine does a really good job and has been doing a really good job over the years of being the cultural mecca of the campus. If you ask most international students, they're going to tell you about Culturama, which is an Irvine branded event, by the way, that you get to experience and showcase all the things that your country has to offer. Belize, interestingly enough, for 2 out of the 3 years that I've been at UWI and on Irvine, Belize won the Island Booth competition, where we put up all our artifacts, all our flags, everything that you have that is Belize, come and bring it and show it out. So yeah, it's just always something to look forward to year after year. And of course, I had to put this. I was a student leader on Irvine Hall for 2 out of my 3 years. I was the deputy Black representative for my sorority, and I was the treasurer in my last year. So it was a place for me to really grow and really experience what it is like to be a leader. And I'm always grateful to Irvine for offering me that space. So that's the end of my little presentation and talk with you guys. So if anybody has any questions, no question is too dumb. No question is,
Thank you so much.
Anything that you want to
Brianni.
ask, no problem.
Thank you so much. So we'll open the floor for quick questions. If you have any, you can just indicate by a show of hands. If not, any questions? No? Okay, I think you really covered it, Brianni. That was really awesome. And thank you so much for an excellent presentation, sharing your experiences and your advice. Thank you also for your patience. I know things have run a bit longer than we anticipated, but we're really appreciating you sticking with us. And also Andy sends his best. So thank you again for that. All right. So folks, this brings us to the end of our orientation session. And I'd like to thank our, our guest presenters, Jason Mackenzie and Rasheen Roper-Robinson from the Office of Student Services and Development, Aisha Matthews, who was supported by John Henry and Nicholas Williams from Registry Information Systems, Kimberly Henry from the Student Administrative Services section, and of course, our former student, our recent graduate, Brianni Smith. Thank you so much for your excellent contributions. We also want to thank Principal Dale Weber for his message, and also to the Director of Campus Security, Mr. Norman Haywood. So we thank them for their messages. I'd also want to give a big special thanks to the fantastic Admissions and International Office team, Elizabeth, Tony, Vikisha, and Andy. Thank you for all the sacrifice and the hard work in bringing this together. Most importantly, we want to thank you for joining us for this session, for choosing the UWI, and we just want to say that you truly do mean the world to us. We definitely hope that the time that you spend here at MONA, whether it be long or short, is meaningful, is exhilarating, and also productive. After exiting, we have that brief poll that you can take just to give us a little bit of feedback. And of course, a recording of this session will be available on our YouTube channel probably sometime next week. So thank you all again for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this session, and we wish you a pleasant day. Thank you again.